Vegas Rock Dog Radio. Pets, people, pop culture. Bring on the host, Sam, the queen of rock and roll dogs.
Hello everyone, I'm Sam, the queen of rock and roll dogs and the host of Vegas Rock Dog Radio. On today's show, I'm talking about cats in cardboard boxes and other news in the animal world. So stay right there.
Bring on the host, Sam, the queen of rock and roll dogs.
Hi everyone, welcome to the show. I'm your host, Sam, the queen of rock and roll dogs, and this is Vegas Rock Dog Radio. We are a show all about pets, people, and pop culture. In studio with me today is Jim Dorico.
Hello.
And we've also got, he's so full of energy today. And we've got Mr. Twix and Miss Thornton, and Galaxy looks down on us every single week when we do the show to make sure we do a good show. That's not even good English. That we actually give you a show full of news, information, tips and tricks, and all that good stuff. You've had, well, you broke a record this morning, haven't you, Jim?
Well, the two little runners broke a record today. They did a 6.1 mile walk. And they kept going and going and going, and they wanted to do more. And I didn't.
That's funny. They're your trainers. It's like they're training Rocky now.
Yep.
Yeah, see how it feels now. See how I used to feel when you used to be shouting at me on a bike behind me.
When was that, like 15 years
ago? Change your gears. Yeah, 6.1 this morning. And in case you're wondering, we've got Mr. Twix. His legs are 2 inches long, his last episode. And Thornton she's going to be 13 in May. And she is a Jack Russell. And she is something else, isn't she, Jim? So they've done their 6.1. They've got their steps in today. That's for sure.
Yeah, we got a lot in. That's
a lot more steps. 4 feet, 4 little legs going.
I know, and he was all kind of playing too. He wanted to stop and jump and tug and
that's good.
Go after her. Yeah.
Well, he likes to run up and do this like drive-by kiss thing. It's very cute. But while we're actually talking about dog walks are for your dogs, aren't they, Jim?
Yeah.
They're not for you, although you get to participate and enjoy. But a dog walk is for your dog, and there are different kinds of dog walks. There's it snowed in Vegas this week, so we're just going to nip out and have a quick wee-wee and a poo-poo and get back in. There are those, I think all walks need to have a lot of sniffing. It's important you let them be dogs and to use all of their senses. That's really important. So pet peeve of mine. So when I see people go, come on, dragging their dogs when they're having a good old sniff around. This is how they explore, and this is how they receive information. And then there are walks that are a lot longer like they had today. So I think, I'm not sure that exercise is really emphasized that much. I mean, yes, they'll say go out and do 2 walks a day, but do people know what they should be doing time-wise, depending on the age of the dog, that kind of thing. Anyway, my little friend Bonnie, Jim, my friend Tracy over in England, back in my hometown, she's just got a new little puppy called Bonnie, who's now, after shots she's done now with that, she now gets to go out and explore the world. And on her first little outing, they went to the pub. They had a walk and they went to the pub. And I think this just has a lot to do with socialization. Start them nice and young. and some simple, I hate the word commands. Oh, I hate that. Some simple communication on what you want from your dogs. And little, tiny, little, cute little puppy Bonnie got to go to the pub. So she was fantastic. She just sat down. They gave her a drink and I guess some treats while they were there. And she just had a good old time. And isn't that the best thing, Jim, to be able to just take your pets wherever you can?
Yes.
Especially the pub. And what are you doing? Are you doing research?
Checking my stats.
What stats? Oh, your fitness stats.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Making sure he's got his 6.1 miles in
I don't
there.
see your name on these stats.
Well, before we get on with the show, before we continue, I want to let you know that today's show is dedicated to Harley. Jim and I met Harley's mom at a pet event that I was hosting, and she told me that her dog Harley had had cancer, and with research and diet, a change of diet, they beat cancer together. And I instantly connected with Donna, and it was through her experience that she wanted to help other animals, and she opened up a store called Wags and Whiskers, all inspired by Harley. And let me tell you, along with her family and Harley, they have helped so many pets get into a healthier diet. They've helped pet parents embrace the idea of doing all they can for their pets. And not only that, but they've helped countless animal rescues and charities through super fun events at the store. And of course, none of this would have happened had she not had Harley in her life. Now, Harley did get ill once again, and this week he made the journey over the Rainbow Bridge with his entire family by his side, as they always promised they would be. And Harley inspired people. He helped other animals. He brought love and smiles to all the people he met, and will always and continue to be an inspiration and a fur angel to the community. And we're all better off for having met Harley. And his tagline in life was Harley Strong. So the show is dedicated to Harley, and his name will live on forever. It will live on forever in the work that they're doing through their store and through fundraising and educating pet parents. And so the show is for Harley today. Well, if you are listening to the show for the first time, thank you for listening in. If you'd like to connect with us elsewhere on the internet, you can find us, of course, on our website, which is probably how you did find us. That's vegasrockdogradio.com. And you'll find us on Periscope, Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, Tumblr, and Instagram. And we do have a blog, and the blog is therockandrolldog.com. We go into a bit more in depth with certain products and that kind of thing, a lot of product reviews and recommendations on the blog, as well as letting you know who's coming on the show and who's been on the show. Also, if you do miss the live show, then you can catch us on iTunes, iHeartRadio, Spoke by SiriusXM, Spotify. Oh, I think we're on Deezer, Podchaser, basically any podcast app that you have on your phone. Just search Vegas Rock Dog Radio and you'll find us. Also, if you search Pet Tip of the Day, you'll also find us there as well. That's just our little snippets of tips for pet parents. It's really easy. You could listen to a bunch of tips while you're, at home, in the office, cleaning up, on your dog walk. Actually, it's probably the best time to catch up on the podcast, wouldn't you say, Jim, after the show? Is just when you're on dog walk.
Put it on.
Put it on, and you'll learn something. On every show, we hope that you take away something that you didn't know before. Hopefully, we make you smile, and hopefully we give you a laugh, which usually is when I can't get my words together.
Or you use those big medical words.
You know what? My friend
big
Sarah,
techno
who's a nurse, she says she thinks I do very well with pronouncing those medical terms. She says that she thinks I do a very good job with that. So I'm okay with that. Hey, most people would just shy away from it. I'm always up for a challenge, even if it is a bunch of medical words. Why do they have to be so long? Because I know, like, each little piece of the word means something.
Means some chemical. They
string it all together, or disease or whatever. But isn't that funny? Well, let's do our weekly update. You will not believe what happened in Vegas, and that was it snowed, and it snowed a lot. It snowed 8 inches. Not all parts of the valley got 8 inches, but everybody got some snow. But Summerlin, they got whacked, and it really was a true winter wonderland, wasn't it, Jim?
You could have bought me Christmas presents again.
Had that fallen at Christmas, it would have been so perfect.
You still could have bought me some gifts.
Okay. Yeah, but then I'd have to save them for this coming Christmas.
No. Give them out during the snow.
it was very Christmassy. And you've got to remember this. Tons of people in this town have never seen snow, especially kids that were born here. Never seen snow.
Well,
So they pulled
we had snow 11 years ago.
Yeah, but if you weren't born 11 years ago, you've never seen snow.
Maybe so.
And lots of doggies have never seen snow. And so lots of people took the day off. Lots of people pulled the kids out of school. Lots of people went out with their pets, bundled them up, and just had a jolly old time. Now, anywhere else in the world that gets snow on a normal basis will go, really, come on, Vegas. But as I say, it's not something that happens very often. The last big snowfall was 2008, which was just before Christmas, and that made me so excited. And I will actually put up a video of us in the park. Oh my gosh, with the dogs. So much fun. So that was the big news in Vegas. But here's the thing. Here's the problem we came up against. And people couldn't believe that we closed the schools. They said, yeah, but it's melting. Well, it did freeze. So that was the issue. And our main highway in and out of Vegas had to be closed because it was just like an ice rink. And accidents galore. And so that's what they had to do this week. Kids have enjoyed a 3-day weekend, which probably was 4 for most of them because their parents pulled them out early and then the schools closed. So yay for us and a little bit of snow. And it was fun. It was really, really fun. So that's the big news, the big snowpocalypse of Las Vegas 2019. Well, since we are talking about chilly stories, but there is actually a heartwarming one here. And it's a wolf that rescuers thought was a dog. It was saved from a freezing river in Estonia. A wolf, first thought to be a dog, is warming hearts everywhere after being rescued this morning from a freezing river in Estonia, a country in Northern Europe. The heroic rescuers, reportedly named Robin Silame and Rando Kartsep, were working nearby when they noticed the distressed animal in the Parnu River. After pulling the wolf, who was described as exhausted, hypothermic, and frozen from this icy water, and the picture is just like, the kind-hearted men covered the animal in a blanket and placed it in their own car to warm it up. Oh,
I'm trying to look that up right now.
Oh, it's you'll find it on probably worldanimalnews.com. Anyway, the Estonian Union for the Protection of Animals, and that's EUPA, which received the call for help with a dog that might be a wolf, shared the news on its Facebook page, admitting that the situation presented a bit of a challenge. Fortunately, the young men who saved the wolf were able to drive the animal to a clinic where he received immediate treatment that was funded by the EUPA. And the organization shared an update from the clinic which confirmed that the wolf, believed to be born last year, is slowly recovering and sustained no other injuries. They said they have been contacted by the head of Environment Agency's Wildlife Department, Marco Hatt, who confirmed that if the wolf is in top-notch health, then they will put a collar on him and release him into the wild, which is what they,
Oh, he's good looking. I'd keep him.
Not a lovely, lovely wolf.
I'd turn him into a domestic wolf.
Would you?
I'd let him live here.
Oh, poor thing. And the thing is, he let them help him. And the EUPA shared their appreciation for the young men who saved the struggling young wolf, as well as the staff of the clinic and Marco Hatt, who gave them peace of mind, ensuring that the animal would be released to freedom. The Estonian Union for the Protection of Animals is a donation-based organization. And if you would like to make a contribution, I will put a link in our show notes. So after the show, after we're live, this whole entire show, unedited, because that's how we like it, goes up onto iTunes, iHeartRadio, like I said, and in the show notes, you'll find all the links for these stories and other things of interest to you. But yeah, isn't that a good story? Well, and here's another good story. Not as heartwarming, yeah? And this has just happened this week. So-called Ivory Queen Yang Fenglan finally sentenced to 15 years in prison for smuggling 2 tons of elephant ivory tusks. 2 tons. Important news from Tanzania this week as Chinese businesswoman, she is a businesswoman, all right, Yang Fenglan, dubbed the Ivory Queen, was sentenced to 15 years in prison for smuggling the tusks of more than 350 elephants. Wow, that is just brutal. That's just savage. And it weighed nearly 2 tons, and she was smuggling them to Asia. And as per Reuters, Yang Fenglan, who has lived in Tanzania on and off for decades, ran this Chinese restaurant, was found guilty of working with two Tanzanian. Oh my God, Tanzanian men to
Which one is it?
Tanzanian men to smuggle more than 800 pieces of ivory between 2000 and 2004. Oh, that's just wrong. Anyway, congratulations, they said, to Tanzania for taking a stand against wildlife trafficking and following through with prosecution of a top-level ivory poacher from Asia, said Damien Manda. He's the founder of International Anti-Poaching Foundation. And he said, all too often these key people are allowed to get on a plane and fly home untouched. And this 15-year sentence is one of the strongest messages yet that Africa's wildlife is off limits. Now, Yang Fenglan, Fenglan.
I'm going to change my stage name to Yang Flang.
It's Fenglan.
No, Yang Flang. Yang Flang.
It's easier to hear.
Who are you? I'm Yang Flang.
So Yang Fenglan. Oh, my gosh. And the men she conspired with, Silivius Matembo, and this is just what I deal with every single week. Silivius Matembo and Manasseh Philemon were reportedly convicted of leading an organized criminal gang. Now, during a press conference, they said, when questioned about the news that Reuters first reported, Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesperson Geng Shuang, I'm not lying, that really is it, Geng Shuang, confirmed that China supports the Tanzanian court's decision. My exercises didn't work this morning. I have these exercises that I do before the show, and they just didn't work today. Anyway, the Chinese government holds zero tolerance towards the illegal trade of endangered animals and their products. Shuang responded in a statement further explaining that since 2015, China has rolled out measures to ban the import and export of ivory carvings and hunting trophies and domestic processing and sale of ivory for commercial purpose. He says, we support the relevant departments of Tanzania in investigating and trying this case fairly in accordance with the law. China stands ready to work with Tanzania and other members of the international community to protect endangered species and crack down on illegal trading. Now, the Chinese government requests its citizens overseas to abide by local laws and regulations and will never shield those who violated the laws. And he said, I would like to remind Chinese citizens traveling to Africa to bear in mind relevant laws and not to buy or carry with them any products made from endangered animals like ivories and rhino horns. China banned the trade of ivory and ivory products at the end of 2017, and local customs authorities have subsequently augmented their fight against ivory smuggling. It's a good piece of news, not as heartwarming as the wolf story, which I really like that.
I like that wolf a lot. I'm looking at a little video.
You know what the exercises are to help you not get your tongue twied? No. Bugada pakata, bugada pakata, bugada pakata, bugada pakata, bugada. That's what you have to do. That's one. No,
did I do it good?
You're not pronouncing.
Did I do? Did Tubbs do good?
Tubbs did a terrible job. I feel bad for anyone that's just listening in right now. What's going on?
They heard sound effects.
Bugada pakata, bugada pakata, bugada pakata. But you have to really enunciate, Jim.
Bugada pakata. Bugada pakata. Bugada pakata, bugada pakata, bugada pakata.
You just see, musicians, they just have to do that to you. Actually, talking of musicians, tell everybody this additional project that you're on right now.
Oh, yeah. Some music friends of mine here in town, long-term piano player that I've worked with for some years, asked me to be part of a Carpenter's tribute show that they're putting together with he and his girlfriend, and it looks to be a very, very interesting and fun musical project.
Why do
bucket
birds suddenly
bucket
appear every time you are near? Do love the Carpenters' music, though.
That was good. That was like a bucket to Carpenter.
It's ridiculous. What has happened to this show today?
I've never heard you do that exercise ever in life. Where do you do that?
When you're not around.
Obviously, because I've never heard it.
And another one, you take your tongue and you push your tongue into the inside of your cheek and you roll your tongue all the way around your mouth and then the other way. Can you feel that stretch on your tongue? That'd probably be good for you for playing.
And then what do you do?
You do a set and then rotate the other way. Don't do it in front of the mic. It's gross. Don't.
When you try to talk like this.
No, in a circle.
Mm-hmm.
That people do not want to hear that. That is gross.
We
That's
don't need
gross.
to talk about your vocal warm-ups. Let's get on that subject
Just
today.
saying they didn't work this morning. That's why. Another piece in the news before we get onto cats in cardboard boxes. In the news, a unique non-profit called Chained Inc. helps free chained dogs in Detroit. And it is, believe it or not, National Unchain Your Dog Month. But there is no question that dogs should never be chained and left by themselves any time of the year. Yet, many dogs throughout the country remain the prisoners of the chains placed on them by humans, leaving the poor defenseless animals vulnerable to a wide range of threatening issues, including severe weather conditions. It kills me when I see that. It kills me. As unfathomable as it is, most responsible pet owners, dogs of all shapes and sizes, were even found chained during the recent polar vortex. Whatever. That's crazy. That's ridiculous. Oh,
Well, that
that's
San
just-
Bernardino shelter got in trouble last week, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. Yeah, well, but let's not digress too much with that. Let's get on with this story, and if we've got time, we'll cover that as well. You just don't care about your animals if you do that. If you leave them outside in extreme temperatures, chained up, horrible, and in a polar vortex, no, that's criminal to me. That's absolute animal cruelty. Anyway, Gina Freeman, she's the founder of Chained Inc., and that stands for Continue Helping Animals in Need and Educating Dog Owners. It's an extraordinary nonprofit that has boots on the ground helping chained dogs in southwest Detroit. Chained dogs was something new to Freeman, who was born and raised in San Diego, California, and relocated to Detroit, Michigan with her family in 2010. It was there that for the first time she witnessed a dog chained in terrible conditions. I bet it is the first time because San Diego, so pet-friendly, isn't it, Jim?
Yeah.
People got their dogs with them everywhere they go. There are events for dogs. There's Dog Beach. Wow.
Speaking of dogs, I need to leave my desk here.
That was probably a shock,
I
you
have
know.
to check on the mister.
But from that moment on, Freeman was hooked on saving chained dogs in the area from such a dismal existence. She said, when dogs are chained, they are stripped of their freedom. Yeah, Freeman, she said, it's the worst type of animal abuse other than being starved. And after months of driving up and down alleys, writing addresses down when dogs were chained, knocking on doors to urge the homeowners to bring their pets inside, and self-financing the efforts along with her husband, Jim, Freeman decided to grow Chained Inc. in 2011 when it became a non-profit. And that does make it easier because then you can actually take in donations. Not to say that people don't give you money before you become a non-profit, but it helps you reach out to other places for donations, whereas previously, if you weren't a charity, they would probably say no. Anyway, she said, pulling from her more than 12 years of home nursing experience, Freeman created an initial assessment process where they figured out what they were able to do in that moment to enhance a particular dog's life. While Chained generally conducts outreach once a month in December, January, and February, Freeman says it takes months to prepare in advance. Remarkably, she and her team of 40 volunteers help an estimated 200 dogs a day. Whoa.
Sorry, I had to leave for a second.
That's
I had
okay.
to take care of the mister.
Now, most recently, Chained received a $3,500 grant from the ASPCA to help provide free life-enhancing supplies and services to low-income dog owners in southwest Detroit and the downriver communities. The generous grant enabled the unique nonprofit to provide straw, insulated dog houses, doghouse heaters, and heated water bowls to dogs in the community, as well as provide dog treats, toys, heartworm prevention, and other much-needed supplies. And they said in the past few weeks it has been below zero, but sometimes it gets below 16 degrees. And she explained that the dogs remaining on those chains in those conditions just can't survive. They just cannot survive. And she said, how is it possible that people chain their dogs in the first place? I don't.
It's old mentality. I remember growing up in the Northeast, and people did it. It was like normal for people that lived in these communities and little coal patches, and to have dog houses, and dogs lived outside in a cage.
What is the
in
point,
a house.
though? What were their dogs?
I don't know.
Why do they have
I
a
mean,
dog?
some people had, like, they were hunting dogs or working dogs or something. I know on farms, I remember, we'd go to a lot of farms when we were kids. The dogs just lived wherever they felt like living, but they stayed in the barns with the other animals.
But
and
they have freedom. That's the difference.
Yeah,
Not chained up.
Yeah, they weren't chained up. They were like farm dogs that lived wherever they wanted on the farm, and they slept in hay, with the other animals and stuff. And, but then I remember people that would have dog house. There were dog houses in everybody's yard, and the dogs were on chains and then sometimes caged in little areas. I don't get it.
I don't, because there's no interaction.
I mean, we didn't do that to our dog growing up. But
no, I mean, there's no interaction.
Like people,
they're not taking them for a walk.
It's almost like there was this old school mentality, like, oh, that's a house dog or that's an outside dog.
It's horrible, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's so old fashioned. Yeah. And here's the thing, we've got to stop saying as well, oh, it's cultural. You expect that from this country. No, let me tell you something now. Animal abuse is not cultural. It's a horrible thing that human beings do to animals. It is not a cultural thing. So that's why when people travel sometimes to other countries, they'll say, yeah, but that's the culture. No, it's not acceptable. It's not part of the culture. It's what people do, but it's not part of the culture. That's not culture. Animal abuse is not culture. And we have to stop saying that, because that's a way of accepting it. Oh, well, that's how they do it in this country. Well, that's what you'd expect over there. No, it's not acceptable, because, again, we talk about 5 freedoms of animal welfare, and none of those things fall under that. They're not providing any of those. So I love what this organization is doing. I just love it. They said, sadly, most people around here just don't care about their dogs. And some even refer to dogs as their doorbells. Oh, my gosh, that's horrible. Well, there are some people in the communities in southwest Detroit that do care about their pets. Unfortunately, most cannot afford to properly care for them. And there's a difference. There's totally a difference there. Chained now collaborates with many groups and has been responsible for facilitating 15 anti-tethering laws in cities throughout Metro Detroit. That is amazing progress. Because here's the thing. I think what gets difficult is you're helping animals. I feel about this. I feel this way too, because we help animals all the time. Helping animals, picking up the pieces of incredibly irresponsible people, taking care of their problem. But unless we get progress with laws as well to support that, you can be constantly on a treadmill of doing the same thing over and over and over again. So to actually get 15 anti-tethering laws in the cities throughout the area is such an achievement. And you've got to work with a lot of people. You've got to get people on board. You have to get things sponsored. Oh, and there's a whole process. And it does take a long time, doesn't it, Jim, for laws to go through?
It does.
Which I find incredibly frustrating here, I have to tell you. It moves way too slow. But this is an incredible achievement. Anyway, they've also rescued more than 800 adult dogs, puppies, and seniors while working with their partner organizations. And she says it's emotional witnessing a dog become unchained for the first time. They become happy new dogs. Think about this, yeah? Think about this. We had to have Twix in a cone last week because he was chewing himself like crazy, Now he's fine. But that cone changes his personality, doesn't it, Jim?
Mm-hmm.
It's horrible.
He was not happy.
He feels restricted. He can't be himself. Think about being on a chain your whole life. Your whole life is the length of that chain. No interaction with other animals, probably very little interaction with human beings. You're outside, no enrichment, the same little patch. That is just terrible. But this is amazing that they've got these laws on the books now. It is, and I can only imagine seeing them unchained is such a reward for all the hard work that they do. Brilliant. But they said that correcting the problem is where it originates. Decreases neglected and homeless dog populations. So you've got to, as I say, you've got to get to the root of this. The organisation which is dedicated to enhancing the lives of chained dogs in the area by providing life-altering services and supplies. They also include spay and neuter assistance and owner education on its website. And every dog is worth saving, and this is our way of saving them. Wow, I just think it's brilliant, and that is work. That is work. To date, they have assisted more than 2,889 dogs in Michigan by giving those supplies as well as veterinary care. They've placed 875 igloo dog houses in the field, paid for 643 spay neuters, rescued 335 dogs, plus lots of litters of puppies, and built 68 freedom fences. Now, that's another thing, too. There's another organization that I think it's Fences for Fido, if I'm not wrong. And that's the first step they do is they say, would you let us build a fence so your dog can at least run around and be off that chain? And that's what they do. And it's brilliant. And there are people who object to it. There are. Well, I'm sorry. If they can't do it themselves, well, they're not going to. But what you can immediately do to help is, like she said, you can put at least an igloo dog house in there. You know, you can get them spay neutered. You can, maybe get them adopted out if they really don't want them anymore, or you can build a fence. And you know what? If it improves that dog's life instantly, then yes, do it. Yeah, I think that when you can't change people, unfortunately, until they decide they want to change. But if you can actually help the animal straight away, then I think it's a worthy cause, definitely. I will, of course, put a link in the show notes about this organization. So impressed with that. So nice. Oh my gosh. Well, on that lovely note of all wonderful people who volunteer, let's take a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to talk about cats and cardboard boxes. You're listening to Vegas Rock Dog Radio with me, Sam, your host, the queen of rock and roll dogs. And we'll be right back.
Vegas Rock Dog Radio. Pets, people, pop culture.
Pet Scene Magazine is dedicated to Las Vegas pets and the people who love them. It's a source of news and information for pet lovers, as well as offering valuable coupons and specials on pet products and services. Find them online at www.lvpetscene.com or look for them on Facebook.
Vegas Rock Dog Radio. Pets, people, pop culture.
Welcome back, everyone. Let's talk about cats. And if you're just listening in, I'm Sam. I'm the queen of rock and roll dogs. And this is Vegas Rock Dog Radio. Cats, kitty cats. We've never been able to have a cat because Jim's allergic. Allergic.
Buggada biggada buggada bug.
Yeah.
You got to do more exercise.
Buggada
Do some more of your buggada puckatus.
Well, you don't think you're as allergic now?
I might not be.
But you used to be.
I used to be.
Dreadfully
Used
allergic.
to get very asthmatic.
Mm-hmm.
Anaphylactic.
But aren't they fun cats? They're hilarious to watch.
They might be. These two might have fun having one, but I don't know if that's... No.
No. Sometimes you think, shall
Probably
we even
not.
invite that on ourselves?
No.
Even
probably-
an introduction.
Probably not.
But I do have lots of friends who have cats and dogs, and they all live in harmony. And cats who, get this, you're going to love this, who have access to cardboard boxes are less stressed out, and they heal faster than cats who don't. Who knew? But it is official.
Do cats destroy cardboard boxes?
I don't know, to be honest.
They scratch them.
Well, usually they like something they can really scratch on, don't they? Like a proper scratching post. Or those corrugated
Cardboard.
scratchy things that are really firm. There is now an official and scientific reason why cats love boxes. Researchers have confirmed that cats have a liking for enclosed cardboard spaces because it aids in lowering stress. I bet it's like a sound booth.
What's like cat beds or those little pods? Little enclosed pods.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
This is why cats and boxes are such a good mix has long been a mystery. Now researchers from the University of Utrecht have discovered why, publishing the results of their findings in the journal Applied Animal Behavior Science. And in their study, the researchers aim to determine if boxes can help in alleviating stress in shelter cats. Felines have long had an affinity for enclosed cardboard structures, so researchers explored just what would happen if shelter cats were exposed to these boxes as well. So in this Dutch animal shelter, 19 new shelter cats, so they're in a brand new environment that is, as you may know, shelters are very, very, very stressful places for animals. Anyway, they were identified as new in the shelter, randomly assigned to either get a box or not get a box. 10 were given boxes, 9 did not get a box. Aww. According to results, those cats with boxes exhibited faster recovery ability and also adapted to their new environment more quickly compared with groups without boxes, with significant differences recorded just 3 to 4 days into the study. That's really good. Now, you know when people say, oh, it's in the shelter, my dog knows it's been rescued. They don't. What they do know is they've been picked up. They don't know that they're safe. They've been picked up and they're in a new environment. New environments are scary. New environments with other scared animals is stressful. So they don't know. I think it takes them a very long time once they get into a forever home to actually decompress, just like Mr. Twix did. It took him a good year before he could actually really sleep properly without one eyeball being open. And but if boxes are going to help cats, then yes, it needs to happen. They said that stress experience have a major impact on cats in welfare and may cause higher incidence of infectious diseases in the shelter due to raised cortisol levels causing immunodeficiency.
Wow.
Yeah. Those several studies showed preference for hiding places and stress-reducing effects of hiding boxes on cats in combined studies. None of these studies determined if proper hiding enrichment would be effective in a quarantine cattery. And to access the cats, researchers used the Kessler and Turner Cat Stress Score during a 14-day study period. The results showed that the cat group with boxes registered mean CSS lower than their counterparts without the boxes, which meant they had lower stress levels. There was also a minimal difference in the scores reported for each cat individually within the group of boxes, while those without boxes showed a higher variance. So it looks like everything really levels out. So both groups managed to have the same CSS by the end of this study, but in terms of recovery, the group given boxes were already well off by the third day, so it was just a much quicker process for them. So it aided in that. And these findings led these researchers to conclude that being given a box to hide in allows a cat to recover in a new environment faster by keeping stress levels down. And as a next step in research involving cats and boxes, it may be explored how taking a box and hiding its factors in on housed cats and what long-term effects have access to a hiding box might have. Additionally, research may also soon be done on the role of hiding boxes in infectious disease outbreaks in cats. Gosh, my brain's like fried today. This was done, I say, at the University of Utrecht. And
where is that university?
Well, with the researchers' last names were Vinke and Godinj, and Vander Lee. There you go. I will put a link up. You can read those names for yourselves. But if your cat doesn't have a cardboard box, get your cat a cardboard box. If your shelter doesn't provide them, get some cardboard boxes. Oh, they're cheap, easy, and if it helps them that much, get them. Get them.
Maybe we'll do an experiment and get a cardboard box for these two.
Oh, Twix would be. He's funny as it is anyway. Yesterday, we've got our 80s hairball coming up, by the way. The 80s hairball, Rocking for Rescue's 80s hairball on March 22nd at 3 Sheets Craft Beer Bar. So we do have an announcement. Yay! Tickets $25. And the money raised will go to our charity, which is Rocking for Rescues, and we then help rescues. So to date, we've helped 30 rescues in the Las Vegas area. We would love to see you at our event. And if you're not in Vegas, it's a good enough reason to fly in or drive in, because we have a really good time at the 80s Hairball. Everybody dresses up in their favorite 80s outfit. There's a swag bag for everyone. We have a red carpet, an amazing raffle and auction. A little birdie tells me we might be getting something from Robbie Krieger from the Doors for the auction. And there'll be food and an air guitar playing contest. Oh, we're also going to have a treat bar for dogs. Even though it's not an actual dog event, we want people to be able to make up a little treat bag. And that is courtesy of Einstein's Pet Treats. and they'll be able to take a little bag home for their little doggies. So that's March 22nd here in Las Vegas at 3 Sheets Craft Beer and Bar. You can pick up your tickets at rockin4rescues.org, and that's the number 4. Again, it'll be in the show notes. So yeah, see, I did that little segue there.
What were we talking about,
I have
though?
no idea how I got to that
About
point.
getting boxes for our dogs and doing a test and see if dogs
Oh,
like
yeah, so this is
boxes.
where I was going. So yesterday I was sorting through some stuff for the 80s hairball, and Mr. Twixie, he wanted to get in all the packaging. In fact, he stole a couple of things which I had to get back from him, and that was, well, Jim did. Very stealthy. Very, very stealthy, but it was a lot of stuff for swag bags, and our swag bags are amazing. I have to tell you that. So that's how we got down that little road. Right, so let's talk about what is now my favorite TV program that I've just become addicted to. I love a nature program. You do as well, don't you, Jim?
Very much so.
Well, there's this show, and I picked the show up on the BritBox app. Now, that's British TV programming for anyone outside of England, which is great. It's BBC programming. It's ITV. Well, this particular one is ITV. And I'll have to say, ITV do produce good shows. Just happened to have worked on one of theirs a couple of years ago. In case you didn't see it, Last Laugh in Vegas, I worked on that reality show with all those amazing celebrities that I grew up watching on TV, and I made friends with them by the end of the filming. It was amazing. Anyway, here's another amazing show by ITV, and it's called Tales from the Coast, and it's with Robson Green. And if you do know Robson Green, you will know him from Soldier, the TV show.
I've never seen him in a show, have I?
I don't think so. He's an actor, he's a singer, and I think he's a fantastic host on the show. And this is basically what it's about. The UK has one of the most varied coastal landscapes in the world, from sweeping sands, rugged cliffs. They have mud flats and spits. I think spits are when there's a lot of... Will you search it for me? I think spits are when basically there's no sand, but it's like shells and rocks and that kind of stuff.
Spits, like at a beach.
Spits. Yeah, beach spits.
Like
yeah.
spits.
And as you can imagine, as old as England is, there's a lot of history that comes along with visiting seaside towns and these historical fishing villages. There is a fascination with the British coastline because it's so varied, and more so than any other country in the world. Have you found that info, Jim?
A spit is a sand spit.
What is it, though?
Sand spit, or a deposition beach landform of coast of lake shores.
What does it look like, though?
Hang on.
Anyway, Robson, he covers many of the different coastlines.
Happens around coves.
Okay, but what is it, though? Is it sand? Is it shale?
It's like a drift.
Is it?
It's a drift of sediment
Oh, is it? Okay.
in a zigzag pattern.
Oh, okay. You see, I love a good old educational program.
It's part of hydrology.
Oh, really? Anyway, he covers these different coastlines. I watched the Devon episode and Pembrokeshire. Pembrokeshire is Wales area. Devon is down the very, very southern tip of the UK, near Cornwall, Somerset area. One of our friends comes from Cornwall. Beautiful. If you don't think England has beautiful beaches, just search Cornwall. Seriously, you couldn't believe it, could you, Jim? Where our friend Sam used to where she grew up. He says, I can't believe it. Anyway, it's a fun show. It's educational. Robson is such a great host. He's very adventurous. It's quite funny. So you find it's like a travel. It's a historical thing. It's a nature thing. You learn about the wildlife in that area, and he always seems to take on some challenge of some kind. The one we watched this morning, he's jumping off a cliff and he's frightened of heights. But I can see, you know what I could see in him was like me, like, oh, I don't really want to do it. I'm scared. It's something new. I've never done it before. But I could also see that, yeah, but once I've done that, the feeling at the other side is amazing. And that's exactly where he found himself after jumping off this cliff. Oh, he says, oh my gosh, I feel so alive. It's just brilliant to overcome those things. Anyway, it chooses a different stretch of the coast, and he ended up climbing the Devil's Slide sea cliffs in the Bristol Channel I've never seen. It's so dramatic. They say people come from all over the world to climb it. And at one point, while he was in that area, not climbing, but he was in that whole coastal area, there was a rescue that needed to happen because he could hear some guy, older guy.
Help me.
Yeah, and
I've
he's
fallen
like,
and
what
I
are
can't get up.
And because he's this outward bounds kind of guy, he hikes down there and finds him, but he couldn't carry him out of there. So they had to get the Coast Guard to, lift him out of there. Makes for good TV when it's not planned like that. It makes for really great TV. But what I found particularly interesting was his visit to Skookum Island. Robson spends 24 hours living and working. Well, not really working, but he spends 24 hours on the island with this couple. And they are the only permanent inhabitants of this island. So you got to get a boat to go over there. Yeah. And this couple, they are wildlife wardens. You're not going to believe her last name. Giselle Eagle.
No way.
Yeah. And
No
they deal
way.
specifically with birds, yeah.
No way.
And Richard Brown is her partner.
Is she American Indian living in England?
No. But they met through their love of birds, and her last name is Eagle. And the job
I
is...
don't believe it.
It is.
It is.
And the job is to look after an impressive array of seabirds, including the largest concentration of Manx shearwaters in the world. And they're named that because they low very, very, very low. They fly low over the ocean, and it looks like they're skimming and shearing the water. Anyway, they're very similar to the way that they live, very similar to puffins, which are also on there too.
I like a puffin.
I do
I know
too.
all about them from my days in Alaska.
Oh, yeah. It's an isolated life for this couple, where the electricity runs out. They run on solar, so if there's no sun, there's no water, there's no electricity. They cook on gas, and they actually live inside a lighthouse. Now they're tracking, get this number, 45,000 Manx shearwater birds. So they work really, really long days. You have to track them, and the largest concentration of them is right there in the whole world. That's where you need to be. Now they burrow just like puffins. They are nocturnal for safety reasons, because other birds see them as prey. And so everything is done under the cover of darkness.
What are the other birds there?
The puffin, I can't remember the others.
Hawks and eagles
yeah.
and such.
Mm-hmm. Puffins used to be currency. 1 puffin equaled 1 penny. That's going to be 10 puffins, please.
You had to give someone puffins to get stuff?
Yeah, they were currency, a long time ago. And they burrow. These birds, they burrow just like puffins. They have a very unique way of counting the birds, and that was to sing to them, Jim. So they burrow under the ground. They burrow under the ground. And so if they're under the ground, how on earth are you going to know if they're actually all in these little burrows? And by the way, they make their burrow and they come back to it every year, because I think they go to South America, I think. And then when they migrate back, they know their one burrow, and that's where they go back to.
I love cheese burrows. That's cheese burritos.
I know, I heard it. That was just ridiculous. So the unique way of counting these birds is to sing to them, Jim. Well, sing to them basically.
Hello, little bird.
In their own.
Ooh, little puffin.
I don't know.
Stop! Are you making bird noise? Stop. There are people that are expert bird noise makers.
Well, they don't actually do it themselves. They actually have it on a tape recorder, which is very high tech. But basically, a little tape recorder. They put it at the top of the burrow. They play it, and it's the bird sounds, and then the birds respond back. Now, if it's high pitched, if you're a high pitched one, they know there's a male in there. If it's low and gravelly, they know it's a female. And they're tracked. They all have a little tag on their little legs, little skinny legs. And the oldest tracked bird, I think they said, was 54.
54-year-old little bird?
Yeah. Well, I guess they're hardy, aren't they, those little birds? So, obviously, this couple...
Oh, yeah, birds do live a long time, though.
Yeah, parrots and...
Yeah.
And although it's obviously a basic and a very isolated life on this island, they truly love where they live. They truly... Because, to wake up... They said, we lived in the city, which is great. But they said to wake up and look at this beauty, and it's so high, this island. The cliffs are it's just unreal. He said they get 100-mile-an-hour winds that whiz past their heads, and they live in this lighthouse. But they love it. And that was built to steer ships in the dangerous
A
waters.
lighthouse
That's what lighthouses were for.
to tell you to get away.
Yes.
Mm.
You didn't know that?
Yes, I knew that.
Oh, you sound like
No,
you were questioning.
I
Like,
knew-
what?
Obviously, I knew that.
Oh. Just to see the ships out of that dangerous water. So a great deal of history is on these remote islands. Amazing. And as I say, he was in, I think this was in the Devon area, coastline. There was one street that he was on in this little tiny little fishing village, 440 feet long, as steep as you can imagine, cobbled, yeah? Super steep, cobbled. And because of its history, cars are not allowed and never were allowed ever on that street. And anything that you need to transport, you know, like your shopping, your bits, as we call them in England. Do you know that?
I know.
When you have to go
about
and buy
bits.
bread, milk, and whatever, you call it your bits.
I
Get me
know all
bits.
about your bits.
Then your bits had to be dragged up and down that street on us. We call it a sledge, by the way. I'm not mispronouncing it. A sledge. You call it a sled. Don't know why, but it's a sledge.
We don't go sledge riding.
We go sledging.
We go sled
We
riding.
go sledging.
That's why.
I bet we invented that word.
No.
So we have to take ownership of that. But you have to have a sledge. I swear, those people are in shape that live there. They're in shape dragging those sledges up and down, up and down. Anyway, it looked like a lot of hard work. There was a time in history, though, when they did use donkeys and they worked that street, but thankfully that's no longer happening. And residents have to be permanent. None of this second home stuff. And they all get a 10% reduction for living on such a difficult street.
You get a tax break for living on a tough street.
Tuft. How'd you say it?
Tough street.
So I just thought that was really funny, and they're still using those sledges to this day. It's just fantastic. Anyway, there's just a sort of fascination with the coast, and it really exploded. Do you know what era it really exploded, Jim, in the United Kingdom, going to the coast?
In the 1950s.
No, it was in the Victorian age when the train came into its own.
Oh, when old Vicky let people go about the country.
She did.
Lord Wellington did not like that.
He did not.
He liked the common people to stay
Stay
in
where
their
they
place.
were. But Queen Victoria was not having any of it. She was very forward-thinking and innovative, wasn't she, Jim?
It was because of Albert.
Not entirely because of Albert. I think the great thing is about their relationship, although it was fiery and stuff. I think they challenged each other, which I think was great.
I think it was because of Albert, because he was the innovator. He was the one that was for technology. Don't you remember the episode?
Well, she loved the train, didn't she?
Yeah, but he had to introduce her to it.
Okay.
So it is Albert's.
So what happened? Well, because the trains then were accessible to everyone, the coast became this destination of choice, not just for fun, but also for health. And you see, in those days, doctors would say you needed to partake in the waters, yeah, which I still say to this day. There are days when I say, Jim, I just need to go to the ocean.
And then she says, run me a bath.
And then and I pretend I'm at the ocean. This was a funny little blurb I found about what they would say back in the day, the Victorian era. In the Victorian era, about going to the coast, and that was, well, the stimulus of a fresher air, of change of scene, and of new occupations, together with rest from accustomed work, are the elements from which the weakly, the worn, and the worried reap physical and mental restoration in a sojourn on the sea coast. It is unquestionable that bathing in the open sea in itself a powerful restorative agency, which many persons may employ with very great advantage. And that's what they did back then. I say all the time, go and breathe in that fresh air, change of scenery. I say that constantly. I need a change of scenery. I think that's very good for you.
Yeah,
change
go
of scenery.
take to the waters.
Partake in the waters for your
Go
health.
run you a bath.
You can catch that show, like I said, on the BritBox app, probably on the ITV. I think they have a replay app. It's a lovely combination of nature, geography, and history with a fun host who doesn't mind taking on a challenge or two. Now, I'm close to the last episode of the season, so I'm a bit sad about that. Anyway, so that's us. We're wrapped up, Jim, for the show. Can you believe that?
I'm starting to get like sleepy from that 6.1 mile walk.
Oh, I bet you are. I bet you are.
I'm looking at one sleepy dog and one restless dog right
Yeah, I
now.
know. He's fighting it. He's fighting going to sleep. But I think we should do a show on exercise, types of exercise that's available, and truly the benefits of that, combined with.
It was an accident.
Why did you just rub your beard on that microphone?
I don't know, but it made a good sound.
It did. Do it.
Sounds like rain.
Oh my gosh, he's a Foley artist now. That needs to stop. That's ridiculous. Anyway, if you like today's show and
That's
Jim's
just ridiculous.
beard bristling against the mic, feel free to share it. Share it through social media channels. We do hope that you've learned something new from the show and any show that you listen to from us. And remember, you can always help an animal in need. Either rescue, adopt, donate, volunteer, or share their information, or come to an 80s Hairball and help us raise money. Rescue your next family member. Replace the word shop with adopt, and be kind to all animals. Thank you, Jim, for some of the bizarreness today.
You didn't mean that at all. And you, though.
Oh, I meant the bizarreness.
And you started it with your bucket of fish.
Yeah, bucketa, 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 bucketa.
You started it with weirdness.
Please take a moment to like us on our social media profiles. And if you're on our Facebook page, please post a picture of your pets. We love to see your fur babies. Thank you, Jim, once again. Thank you, the listeners, for being the most important part of the show every single week. And today you've been listening to Vegas Rock Dog Radio, where it's all about pets, people, and pop culture. I'm your host, Sam, the queen of rock and roll dogs, and always kiss your pets good morning and good night. And I'll see you next time.
You've been listening to Vegas Rock Dog Radio. Pets, people, pop culture. You've been listening to Vegas Rock Dog Radio. Pets, people, pop culture.
Visit Vegas Rock Dog Radio for more information. Find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And subscribe on iTunes and iHeartRadio. And remember, give your fur babies a big kiss from me, Sam, the queen of rock and roll dogs. You must not rely on the information in this broadcast from our hosts as an alternative to medical advice from your veterinarian. If you have any specific questions about a medical matter regarding your pets, you should consult your veterinarian or specialist.